from the knocker. Hey! But not today. The ancestral hovel is clearly not around us at the moment.
It's being fumigated, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is, and we have come to see, as the camera will pan, to reveal our mystery special guest today, or rather our mystery special host today,
Sir Jeremy.
Sir Jeremy
Hackett, the finest.
It's very nice to have you here.
Oh,
And it's
we're
very-
delighted to be
You're
here.
not squat.
No.
I could very happily squat here.
The fact that I have a bed made up around the corner for a little lie down afterwards is nothing. So Max, tell me about the cigars you brought from work today from Davidoff.
This is one of Jeremy's favourites. It's the H. Ubman Añejados.
Do you want to?
Yes, please.
Box pressed.
Please pass them along, and we have them. Yes, from the finest cigar merchant in London, Davidoff. And I'm not just saying that because I work there. And it is. I think
These
the
are
Añejados.
beautiful box pressed cigars.
Yes, and they're aged for between 5 and 8 years after rolling, which is great. So here we are. That's the Añejados. You see the
How are you
Ubman
going
and
to
then
cut
the
that,
second
Jeremy?
band, signifying
you want
that
me
it's
to cut it
aged.
for you?
Yeah,
Lovely
I
box press.
I always make a mess of it.
I
Here
do
we
too.
are.
And also, if you'd light it for me as well, would be great.
We could
So
smoke it for
invariably
you.
light-
We could smoke
light
it for
it
you
in
as well.
Islam.
There you are. Look at that. I've cut
All
it
right,
quite
am
well.
I having this one?
No,
That's Jeremy's.
Jeremy's.
That's Jeremy's.
But if you could light it.
Oh yes, of course. I'll light it for you.
Yeah,
Of course,
thanks.
certainly. Do you have
I actually have a
Have-
cigar. I have a
do you have
cigar
fire?
lighter. I do. I tend. Yeah.
I didn't bring any fire with me.
God,
unfortunately.
what is this? I mean, is this a sort of?
I know. I mean, I've really.
It's tools of the trade.
Yeah, I brought
I mean,
cigars,
honestly,
but nothing
this
to
really
light
is
them
an
or cut them with.
extemporaneous.
So.
While you're still
Yeah.
finding your way around a cigar, maybe Jeremy, you for the benefit of the viewer, you can explain those boots, which I have. I have. This is the first time I've seen them in the 40 years I've known you.
Oh,
I think
really?
you've had them for about 40 years.
I have. I bought them in Portobello early one morning.
What year?
I think probably about 85, something like that.
Okay.
And they were thrown out of the back of a furniture van into the gutter. And I took one look at them and I thought, oh, that's a nice pair of boots. So I asked the guy how much they were. He said, oh, give me £3. So I didn't bother to knock him down. I said, okay, £3. I got home, had a look inside, and it said H.M. the King.
And it wasn't the king of any old country, but it was the king of our own.
Yeah.
The king emperor, as I think he would have been in those days.
Yeah. And I took them to George Cleverley, who was still alive at the time. And I said, George, what do you think of these? And he took one look and he said, oh, those must be made for the Duke of Windsor. And in those days, and I think probably still today, bootmakers worked from home and then took the boots to
Yes.
the shop. So these were probably made in some chap's house.
Mr. Hackett,
And
there we go.
they were never delivered because he abdicated. So the boots stayed in this man's house. And
And that's how they
ended
wound up in the furniture
yeah,
wagon.
the house clearance.
What is it? And the pushing.
Yeah, the straps inside.
That is the
That's
push me
great.
pull you is
You
some sort
use
of invention of
a thing
Dr.
called a push
Dolittle.
puller.
The push puller.
Yeah.
Do you have the original push puller? Or
No, no.
That's a great shame. That would have been quite something.
But also, they were then exhibited at the Metropolitan Museum of Art,
Oh wow!
an exhibition that was done by Diana Freeland
Mm-hmm.
and paid for by Ralph Lauren.
And exhibited your boots.
Yep. And at the time, I think they were valued at £3,000.
You've turned down £10,000 already for
I
them.
have, yeah.
So viewer, if you're feeling in the mood to buy somebody a nice Christmas present, you're going to have to find at least.
At least 10,000.
At least
Well, maybe
10,000.
I think it's a little more than that. And you'll say that
Well,
the
if
chap
you,
that.
if you remember when the Duke of Windsor sale came up in New York,
I still have the catalogue. It
I
is
have
the
a
reference
catalogue
work.
and I ringed a lot of things on it. I didn't get anywhere near any of the prices.
I went to his house actually in the Bois de Boulogne.
Oh, yes.
And do you remember they did the cover of Country Life
Yes.
of his wardrobe?
Yeah,
Ooh. And he was, of course, a very big cigar smoker
yeah.
Who is this? Sorry.
and pipe smoker. The Duke.
Mm.
And we
I'm forgetting we should be talking about cigars.
yes, we are. So we bring the subject back to box pressing, which is just where it's been in the box, and it's got these kind of straight sides.
But now they actually do
Now they
that.
actually do the
They have
box
it in
pressing.
a press
Yes.
now, an actual press. But this is a very interesting cigar because, like I said, it's they're rolled and then set aside in a box and aged anywhere between 5 and 8 years. And this one originally, I think, was released initially in 2015. So add another 5 years to that. So
And when your mathematics is worked out, we'll tell the viewer that it's almost as many thousands of pounds.
If you
as-
pardon me, I may have to get my calculator
And
out.
then if you divide that by the number of years that those boots were in the house of the maker, and then multiply it by the price that you were quoted, adding a certain percentage, which would be the percentage of the number of the street.
you will get the number 2.
Ah,
Or, anyway, Jeremy, what do you think? Because you like a milder cigar,
I
don't
do.
you?
Yeah, and you know, it was you who introduced me to cigars. And I think we were having lunch somewhere one day, and I was smoking a really cheap, nasty cigar, and you said, "Come on, I'm taking you to Davidoff," and you took me to Davidoff, and I think you introduced me to Hoya de Monterey Number 2,
Yeah, because
Yes.
number 2, yes.
which is my other favourite cigar.
Is the drawer okay on that?
Yes,
Jeremy?
excellent.
It's good.
Yeah,
And
very
then you've also recently moved on to the Trinidads as well, which I remember you enjoying. And the recommendation
Edward
of
got me into
Edward,
that,
yes,
yeah.
Mr. Sahakian recommended those because he very much enjoys the Reyes, but you like a slightly wider gauge, don't you? So you're going for the slightly 50, like what
Yeah,
this is, this kind of size.
This is a comfortable size.
Yeah, exactly. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have been considered was this considered a monster cigar when you started
They
smoking?
didn't have this
or-
cigar when I started smoking cigars.
Well, this size.
What is this, 50 or 52?
So it's a Robusto. It's a
So it's
50.
actually 50. Mine's a Cuban 50, so I think mine might be a 51 or something like that.
Yeah,
That
if
might be a
we put
49.
these all side by side, they'll be different in length and width,
Yes.
and probably completely different cigars as well. So.
But other than that, I mean, but I can't smell any different cigars. I think these are actually really rather good. They're nice and mild.
No,
It's
they're
a
very
very
good
easy-
actually. Yeah.
easy cigar.
Easy. I get chestnuts roasting on an open fire, whatever the Christmas song is in question.
Oh, it's delicious, isn't it? It's very nice.
It is. But what
This is a perfect Christmas cigar, you think?
the Upman? What was the Upman
Well, we
Magnum
was-
48? Was the one that I used to enjoy. That
That's
was
gone. That was a limited edition, wasn't it?
no. This was something that was around in the 1990s.
Ah.
When I went into rehab in America, I took a box of those with me because they were unbanded, of course. And I remember sitting in Arizona of an evening, enjoying the night sky, and the javelinas, these little pigs, would come in,
Oh,
and
great.
I'd be enjoying an Upman Magnum 48. So I
Oh,
thought,
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
They do some good stuff, Upman. I do like Upman.
They
There's,
do the Upman.
The
what-
Magnum
Upman
56,
Connoisseur.
the 56 is very sought after. Now, limited edition from 2012. If you were to get your hands on those, I think they're
And
quite
then
pricey
the
at
Upman Sir
moment.
Winston.
The Sir Winston. That's a good one.
Oh.
That's a Churchill size. It's a pretty hefty
And then they
cigar.
did that very little one in 2007 or 2008, 46 ring gauge.
What, the Magnum 46?
Upman Magnum 46, as it might well be known, yes.
But that's not the limited. It's not the
I know,
limited.
when that
What
case,
about
what
the
was the Upman
Magnum
Magnum 50,
44?
the double
The Magnum 44.
No, that's
yeah,
Magnum 44.
That was Magnum.
That's gonna.
That's a handgun.
yeah.
Yeah, those are quite punchy, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, no, this is a delicious cigar, and I can totally understand why you smoke it so regularly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, only when I'm out,
When you're in,
which is most of the time anyway.
yes,
Mm.
yeah, out and about.
I remember when we used to go and
man.
review restaurants. When
I
you
think
were the
that's-
chairman, I
yes.
remember, and that was when you could smoke cigars in restaurants.
Exactly.
Did you
Yeah.
ever taste the food, or was it just the alcohol?
Did I ever taste the food or the alcohol? I tasted both, but the trick there in those days was you really were not good at your job if you mentioned the food before the last paragraph. If you remember, that was the style of restaurant reviewing in those
Yeah.
days.
So-
It's pretty much the same today, isn't it? Well, it's like car reviews, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, so what were you talking about for the first bit?
And are your cigar reviews the same?
Nothing.
You talk about
We talk
Of
about
those
all sorts of
nonsense.
nonsense.
And then the final paragraph says something about cigars.
Yeah, it's a good one.
By the way,
it's
a good
made
one.
with tobacco and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, if you set fire to it, it smokes. Very good, thank you. Goodbye.
And when we were, what did we have in here on the night of the opening of the great Emporium?
Hoyers, I think.
Yeah, that was a good. Young man was smoking a pipe of opium or something out of the window.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
No.
The opium pipe.
But we were hoping to have a cigar room here.
Yes, I remember you saying.
And well, with all this COVID thing, it hasn't happened. But it may in the spring.
Good.
We've got an open area that we can develop.
Yeah.
And
that would be
people
great.
could have cigars out there.
We could have Foulkensian evenings where we all talk about cigars and ramble on about rubbish.
we could do another broadcast.
Like yeah.
This is training. Consider this training.
Yes.
And could we maybe, Jeremy, while we're thinking of things to say about the cigar, show us a picture of you smoking a cigar on the cover of a book made for the Japanese.
Let's get this.
Mr. Classic.
There he is.
Yep.
You'll be wearing a kilt for the Japanese, won't you?
Well, it's for
Fine.
Campaign for Wool.
Mm.
I'm doing it in honour of the Prince of Wales.
Of course.
It's so
Which
good.
one? The Duke of
The current
Windsor,
one.
Prince of Wales, or the current one?
Current one.
So we have this brilliant old cutter. When's
We
this
don't talk
cutter?
about the other one, really.
When's this
Yeah,
cutter
well,
from?
Is that a good example, did you know?
The brilliant old V cutter which only seems
I
to
think
take
it's probably
very
19 I think it's probably 1930s.
Oh, and straight cuts on the side as well.
Ah.
So V cut here, 2 straight cuts here. No more than a 42 ring gauge probably. So Petit Corona.
If you're lucky. I mean, that would
Yeah.
be regarded as a fairly hefty cigar.
Yes, and it's got a mouthpiece as well, so you can play music from it.
What, really?
No, it's like a saxophone's
And it's
mouthpiece.
for sale.
Oh, there we
Is it
go.
for sale? How much is it, Jeremy?
I don't know.
We'll have to
Quite
ask
how
them.
vulgar to
I
know the
never
price
talk
of
about
things.
prices.
No,
Can't be doing
If
that.
you have to
And
ask
this
the price,
ashtray
you
as
can't
well.
afford it.
The
The ashtray
is
is
a
jolly
lovely
nice.
silver ashtray.
Yeah, that's a real thing, that is.
So I've been buying little bits and pieces. It sort of reminds me of the old days when I go to the market
Yeah.
and I'd be buying clothes and then I'd go around and buy little bits and pieces for the shop,
Mm.
such as this. And so I thought, well, I'll do it here again.
Which markets do you frequent, or did you frequent pre-lockdown?
Portobello,
Yeah,
Camden,
yeah.
Greenwich,
Greenwich I've never been to, actually.
and charity shops.
Mm.
I still go into charity shops today.
Oh, I go.
Charity
to
shops.
church.
You can find old Hackett in charity
I'll
shops.
tell you a funny story about it. I was in Portobello a few years ago, and there was this rack of old clothes, tweed jackets,
Yeah.
and I sort of flicked through it, and I saw this one tweed jacket, and I thought, I'll pull it out. And I said to the lady, why is this tweed jacket more expensive than all the others?
Mm.
And she said to me, it is Hackett, you know.
Hey!
And I thought, God, that's brilliant.
Did
The
you then
Hackett
show-
jacket.
Did you then show your passport and sort of, did you then ask for a photograph with you and stuff like this?
No, no, no.
She should have just given it to you. I mean, it was yours.
Well, I didn't even say who I was.
Do you remember? You're
course,
so
yeah.
modest. Do you remember there was a novel once that had described the sort of the old site of the original Hackett opened at the beginning of the last century. It was talking about the sort of one of the sort of oldest opened by the 3rd or 4th generation back.
Yes, yeah. Well, it has that feeling, doesn't it? I feel like I've been around forever.
Well, you have. You're all doing very well, in the words of Mr. Grace. Do you remember Mr. Grace?
Well, yeah, I've heard of it.
You've heard of it.
Now, is it correct or not correct to take the band off?
You do as you like. Edward often says that you should not do it before you light the cigar, as the heat from the cigar will melt the glue and
Dry the glue.
make it easier to
Or
take
make
off.
it easier to take off anyway. Melt
Yeah.
it or dry it.
Once it's lit.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
doing it
Okay.
correctly.
Yeah. I don't know. I
I
always take them off.
I think
I
it's
don't know
also. I think it's an age thing. John, my Alexandra's stepfather, takes them off, doesn't he?
Well, a lot of people nowadays keep them on just to show how much they
Show
paid
off.
for the cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I
why
keep it on out of laziness and also out of the lack of manual dexterity. In which case, I always tend to kind of get my nail embedded in the wrapper or something
Yeah.
like that. So.
Well, if it's an ugly band, I tend to take it off if it's not really appealing. But I think the Upman band's a lovely looking band.
Yeah.
So I tend to.
I mean,
tend to
it
keep
gives
it
us a
on.
nice period feel to the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's great. And what was it? It was the what was the one that JFK sent his secretary to go and buy up the whole
The Petit
US's
Upman. We go.
US's
This is one of our
stock.
favourite stories.
We like
that's
going.
brought up
What other
Petit
stories? We've got the famous dinner where the Trinidad was released. That's another good
That's
story.
another good story, but we'll keep that again for another time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
You know, Nick, seeing you guys wearing rings, why don't you make a ring in the style of
Ah,
with the Foulkes and Sons logo on it.
yes.
Oh, yeah. wouldn't
Maybe we
that be
should
great?
do a range of clothing with you, Jeremy. What do you think?
I think that's a very good idea.
You didn't say yes very quickly on that.
Well,
Hmm.
yeah, no, we'd make some good rubbish. I think it would sell well. Cater for the who would we cater for though? That's
The younger
No,
gentleman.
Freddie's already in the rag trade of sorts. isn't
Yeah,
he?
he is. The
Well,
man,
Freddie
the man
is
behind the camera.
very, very, very sophisticated salesperson now. He's got
Yes.
some.
He knows exactly what, and a very talented film producer.
What was that? What was that brilliant thing that he had that was sort of catalogued as 70s bomber jacket, and he discovered that it was in a sort of extremely rare Edwardian motorcycling garment that was purchased immediately by a Japanese museum for several £1,000s.
Yeah, well,
I think he bought it for 75 pence or something like that.
There was another kind of, I think, a Lewis
Yeah,
Leather's.
but think of all the
waistcoat.
time he spent looking for it.
Oh, it's a
That's the
life. I
thing.
mean, it's a lifetime's
Yeah.
knowledge went into this.
Yeah.
Several generations of knowledge, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely past me and just just gone to Freddie. I haven't
No,
inherited all your problems.
no.
Your well, I do smoke cigars. Maybe Freddie's
You
always
might
quite
like
keen.
my. I have a bit of a thing about umbrellas, and I
Ah,
have this polo stick umbrella that I have made.
but we're
2
sold
months
out
ago.
now, aren't we?
Yeah, we sold out. Sold
it's
out
too
in a
good.
week.
It's too good.
Um,
And if you're lucky, whose stick might it
Well,
be?
yeah, the thing is, it is made from a proper polo stick.
Yeah.
And we just chopped the. Well, I didn't, but I got some. One of my people.
God,
chopped the ends.
I would hate to think that you'd actually had to sort of lift a finger in honest toil.
No, I just came up with the idea. But
I
think
no,
it's a great-
you shouldn't have. You should have said, one of my people came up with the idea, and I said, "You're all doing very well. Carry on."
No,
It's great,
and,
that.
and I got these from the Hackett polo team.
Yes.
Army polo team. And what I think is that William or Harry may have played with one of these sticks.
That's brilliant.
So
That is
that
brilliant.
added another 500 quid to the price.
And with the next 7,000 or 8,000 of those, you'll be
They played a lot of polo those
They
guys.
played a lot of polo.
It is great. This.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
good.
a really nice thing.
Really, really cool.
It's
So-
probably been knocked off somewhere by now.
I'd like to think it's already sort of in the malls in China,
Yeah, quite likely.
or probably maybe Dior is doing one or
Yes.
something like that.
Well, you saw it here first.
We always see everything here
I'm glad
first.
you're making good use of the ashtray.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
yes.
I'm just ashing on the floor, to be honest.
Oh, Jeremy, look at that! No, can you pass it over so
Let
I
me-
can
let me do that,
replicate
let me do that as well.
particular
So did I
maneuver?
just
Is this what
spoil-
this is? Is this what this bit is for? To kind of
Yeah,
scrape
it's
your
a,
ash?
It's a cigar rest.
Amazing. What a world we live in, or used to at least.
Well, that doesn't- my ash is so well made.
What
that it's not
kind
even
of
coming off?
What kind of flavour? I've definitely got a flavour of tobacco. I think in my
No, but it's
cigar.
kind of it's certainly mild. It's certainly sort of lightly nutty, I say.
I think very sweet as well. Very, very sweet. There's no bitterness to it whatsoever.
No.
I suppose that comes with the age as well. It's kind of
yeah.
rounded off all the sharp edges. But should we give the cigar a little bit of time to
Yeah, let's give it a
progress,
break.
and we'll come back to you in a few
In due
seconds.
course.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we're back.
We're back. We've
Oh,
returned.
We're back.
It's still the evening, and we're still going
I
strong.
know, and I'd just like to say that what a beautifully formed bit of Ligero ash you've got there. You've got that
Okay.
sort of point.
That's the slower
Oh, that's
burning,
good, is it?
stronger tobacco that's usually in the
Yeah.
centre. We hope it's in the centre of the
That's
cigar.
years of practice, you know.
Yeah,
It
you've
is.
got it down to a T there. Jeremy.
It is.
It's
I think this is
brilliant.
a very. It's
Delicious.
It's a mild
I think
cigar.
it's
I don't
great.
think it's really.
Well-
it's not really developed in an immensely kind of striking way, has it, or has it?
No, I wouldn't say so. It's gotten richer.
Yeah, but only incrementally. I mean, it wasn't exactly a head spinner to start with, was it?
No, but I think it's just a very, very easy, mellow, sweet, aromatic cigar, which can be enjoyed by beginners and aficionados alike.
I think it's maybe for the
And plebs like
aficionado.
me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for the aficionado who hasn't actually had a
Buy
heavy.
one cigar.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's sort of thing you would smoke during. It's a daytime cigar, really, isn't it?
I think it's great, and it's a robusto size, so a very popular size, and something that people enjoy smoking.
And
it
you've got
looks
them in
like a cigar.
stock.
We've got them in stock at Davidoff. We've got the finest. Oh yeah, brilliant construction to them as well. I picked the first three I picked out of the box on display today with these three that we have here now. I needn't look any further.
It's striking perfectly.
Yeah, I'm very glad.
Yeah.
They're
I
very,
find
very
it
good
very
construction.
relaxing to have a cigar.
I
Yeah.
do too.
It's a
Do you
great.
find that when you're writing that it's nice to have a cigar?
No,
or-
it's too.
Yeah.
I mean, I do in Spain, funnily enough, when I'm working on a book, but that's more so I can be pretend to be a writer rather than actually be a writer. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, I should be sitting there with my sort of cigar on the go and sort of,
But to be a writer, shouldn't you really be chain smoking Gauloise or something like that?
I'm not that kind of writer. I'm a bit upmarket. I'm not an existential novelist. I'm a non-fiction. But I think I should sit there. I try and, but it never really quite works. I'm concentrating more on the cigar than I'm on the writing. Do you know what I mean? I find it difficult to do one thing at a time, let alone anything else.
Yeah, I find it hard enough to talk to our single viewer while smoking.
I'm
looking more at my cigar than I am.
Are you still only up to one?
Well, I think we
on
might
a good
have
day.
gotten
On a
two.
good day. Well, I mean, it depends if you count the person who watches YouTube as well.
Yes, so they're two different people. One on the Instagram and one on the. So don't get your hopes up, Jeremy.
Well, who knows? You might double your.
Well, we might double it. Well, I mean, if you tune in,
might be able to sell a few more.
If you tune in. And then if you can't get the Japanese, if you tell the Japanese when you're wearing your kilt, you say, hoots mon, as they say in Scotland.
Oh, they do? Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm only taking this from greetings cards and cartoons. And hoots mon, tune into Foulkes and Sons.
And you could have a caber made of, was it toasted caber, is it?
Yes, it is.
Made of polystyrene, though, so it's very easy and it kind of...
looking like a tiny cigar.
Yeah, there you go.
You want a big cigar?
Yes.
And is it any wonder the Scots want independence, really? If our sort of view of them is of sort of Jeremy in the street wearing a sort of tam o' shanter, tossing the cabers while smoking a cigar.
Yeah,
for the Japanese market.
I think it's brilliant.
Well, I think with that, viewer...
On that note,
that note of... exquisitely nuanced, and the sort of aroma is fantastic, isn't it?
It is brilliant. It does smell great, tastes great.
Leathery.
Leathery. No, I think that'll be the boots. Yeah.
I think you've added a whole layer of character to this office now.
I think we have. Yes.
Cigar.
You won't be able to get the smoke out.
Yeah. Now that the windows are sealed shut, it's going to be smoky forevermore.
It's sort of caramelized. It's like a slight caramel touch to it. But anyway, viewer, we're keeping you from your lie down or whatever you have at this time of day.
A Negroni, I think, is what's...
it's always Negroni o'clock in the
o'clock.
All alcohol-free, whatever it is that I had here. Anyway,
but yes,
we're fighting the virus.
One Corona at a time. Yeah. And thank you very much, Mr. Hackett, for having us, for hosting us.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Good evening.